So, some of you may have seen this story from the border. A federal judge in Texas allowed the Biden administration to take possession of a family's land in order to use it for construction of the southern border wall. Obviously, the White House has taken a lot of heat for this. So, I thought I would make a quick video explain what's going on here, how Biden's border policies compare to Trump's, and how what he's doing now matches up with what he was saying on the campaign trail, or maybe it doesn't. All right, first I want to cover what actually happened here. The basic issue in terms of building the wall is that they can put it up when the land is already owned by the federal government. But when their goal is to expand the wall further across the southern border, obviously they're going to run into land that's privately owned. So the Trump administration had a pretty aggressive policy of suing to take control of land in order to continue building the wall. Obviously, it's going to be difficult for your average property owner to fight back against lawyers from the Department of Defense, Department of Justice, etc. This is something that a lot of liberals associate with the dark side of Trump's immigration policy. And at this point, it looks like Biden will not be going to the same lengths as Trump did when it comes to seizing land. But as I mentioned, news broke earlier this week that the federal government was given immediate possession of this land on the border between Texas and Mexico. And according to court materials, they wanted to get the land in order to construct, install, operate, and maintain roads, fencing, vehicle barriers, security lighting, cameras, sensors, and related structures designed to help secure the United States-Mexico border within the state of Texas. Biden kind of painted himself into a corner here when he campaigned very strongly against the border wall and what he portrayed as some of Trump's xenophobic border policies and rhetoric. Here's what Biden said about this issue last August. There will not be another foot of wall constructed on my administration, number one. I'm going to make sure that we have border protection, but it's going to be based on making sure that we use high-tech capacity to deal with it. And at the ports of entry, that's where all the bad stuff is happening. It's not like Biden hedged or qualified that statement at all. And coming into the new administration, it was natural for people to assume that not another foot was an indication from Biden that there wouldn't be any new construction. One of the landowners who actually voted for Biden said Biden did say not one more foot. And then with this going on, with them taking possession, they can do whatever they want now. Even beyond that point about construction, Biden even went as far as to specifically rule out this exact type of land seizure. Biden said previously, end, stop, done, over, not going to do it. Withdraw the lawsuits, we're out, we're not going to confiscate the land. Well, here we are in the first 3 months of the administration, and the lawsuits are still going. So that contradicts what Biden said during the campaign. Obviously, campaigns are different from actual governance, but it also goes against the administration's own proclamation related to the border wall, which was published after Biden's inauguration. I'll read from that. It says, like every nation, the United States has a right and a duty to secure its borders and protect its people against threats. But building a massive wall that spans the entire southern border is not a serious policy solution. It is a waste of money that diverts attention from genuine threats. It shall be the policy of my administration that no more American tax dollars be diverted to construct a border wall. Well, okay, this isn't going to span the entire southern border, but obviously they are using taxpayer dollars to fund this litigation, and they'll be using taxpayer dollars for construction once they take possession of the land. You might be wondering where the administration itself is coming down on this, and here's what we've heard from Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. It's not a single answer to a single question. There are different projects that the Chief of the Border Patrol has presented, and the Acting Commissioner of Customs and Border Protection presented to me. The President has communicated quite clearly his decision that the emergency that triggered the devotion of Defense Department funds to the construction of the border wall is ended, but that leaves room to make decisions as part of the administration in particular areas of the wall that need renovation, particular projects that need to be finished. And he specifically referred to gaps, gates, and places where the wall has been completed, but the technology has not been implemented. Again, this is obviously a complicated situation. It wasn't going to be as simple as calling down to the border on January 20th and telling them, put down the hammers. But at the same time, if it wasn't going to be that simple, right, then Biden shouldn't have used very clear language like not another foot, right? So in my view, the administration is kind of trying to play both sides here. They want to be seen as the benevolent and humanitarian side when it comes to immigration and border policy, in contrast to the Trump administration. But at the same time, they're not providing a very clear accounting of why this needs to happen, or what specifically has made the Biden administration contradict Biden's earlier promise to completely halt new construction. Here's what White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said about the issue last week. "We don't believe the wall is an answer. We've never believed that the wall is an answer to addressing the challenges, the immigration challenges at the border. That's why we're proposing investments in smart security at the border, why we're driving what we see as 21st century solutions for border management, and why we believe we should build a functioning immigration system." There's a review underway on kind of where this funding had been allocated and not, but it's currently paused. There are some components of the wall that had already been allocated. The funding to continue building by Congress, so we're working within what is allowable. All right, so let's take a look at everything that's come out of this story, right? We have an explicit promise from Biden that not another foot of wall would be constructed and that there would not be any more land seizures. We have repeated claims from the administration that they don't believe the wall is a solution. We've also heard the Department of Homeland Security, as well as White House officials, cast these projects as mere renovations, filling gaps, using funding that had already been allocated, etc. But at the same time, the administration hasn't offered any public justification for continuing Trump's tactic of using land seizures to expand the wall, and it hasn't even really recognized that it's under an ethical obligation to explain to the American people why it had to basically renege on its previously stated policies. Instead, what we've heard from Press Secretary Jen Psaki and others is basically, we don't believe in the wall. We might still have to build it under extenuating circumstances, but we can't tell you what those circumstances are or what specific interests we have in moving forward with these land seizures. Whatever you think of the Biden administration and whatever you think of American immigration policy, personally, I think it's clear that the White House is dodging or simply dismissing some really important questions about its approach to the border. So what I would like to see is a clear commitment on a part of the Biden White House to specific border policies that they will hold themselves accountable for and not excuse away. And if they think it's necessary to continue construction and go against what they were saying before, then they need to explain that to the public rather than simply offering these boilerplate statements about we don't really believe that the wall is a solution even though we're still building it. Again, I'm not saying that Biden necessarily has to stick to every single thing he said on the campaign trail. No politician does that, right? I understand that circumstances can change, but if they're going to make these policy changes, then it's incumbent on the administration to give the American people some more information here. I'll, of course, continue to monitor this story, let you know if they get any more details here. Hopefully the White House will start to offer a little more transparency into what's going on here. As always, I want to thank everyone for watching to the end. I really appreciate your support, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.